And welcome to the Lighthouse Garden, our little oasis of calm in the middle of fringe madness. Thank you for joining us on this online version of what would have been a live event. Thank you for bearing with us as we've changed the format of this event. We know it was a little bit sudden, but we hope that you enjoy it nonetheless. We are um, we are gathered here to celebrate Nuseibeh's book Namesake, which is a book that is occupies a huge part of my heart and was probably one of the books that I have looked forward to most this year. And so I really, really hope that you feel the same way. I'll take a couple of minutes just to tell you about my reading of it or my feelings about it. I think this book is fundamentally a book about bravery, about being honest about Nuz being honest about who she is, what it means to be Palestinian, what it means to be a woman, what it means to live where she does but be from where she is. A book about family and belonging, but also about what it means to assert your belonging during a time of intense dehumanization of Palestinians. There's a new foreword to this book that Nuz wrote after October last year, which I think really contextualizes it, but also I find makes it sharply heartbreaking, I think, to consider this book that asks people to see Palestinians and Nuz with all their complications as simply human. And that, I think, is fundamentally what this book is about. There's everything in this, from food, which makes me ravenous because of just the beautiful descriptions. I really, really can't get enough of them. There's family, there's place, there's chronic fatigue, there's anxiety, but also hope, the desire to lay a table in the same way that our forebears have always been able to lay a table and make everybody feel welcome, but also to be able to own the space around you, but also to bring people in. And I think that is another part of this book. It's about bringing people in. And so I hope that you enjoy the rest of what we have on this online event and this recording. If you ever want to come and chat to me about this book, I will 100% love that, so please do. And thank you for your time.
Hi, I'm Nusayba, and I'm going to be reading to you from the introduction to my book, Namesake. Excuse the fact that I'm using an inelegant iPad. I don't have a physical copy of the book. It is 1999, and I am in my grandmother's house on Nablus Road in Jerusalem, a road which happens to go along the 1949 Armistice Line, also known as the Green Line, dividing east from west. My grandmother sits in her spot on the grey embroidered sofa beside my great aunt, both frowning at me imperiously as the former lectures me about the importance of fasting. She hasn't asked whether I'm fasting this year. She assumes that I am, and I don't mention that I've just enjoyed a bottle of iced tea on my way over, having walked to her house from my primary school by way of the grocery store. But she takes the opportunity to remind me how serious she is about it, while The Bold and the Beautiful is on an ad break. She is serious. She will continue to fast every year until her health starts to fail her, and even then will only break her fast in order to take small sips of water. After she passes away, over a decade later, our dedication to the seriousness of Ramadan will slacken. We still wait impatiently for the cannon to sound in order to eat our first proper meal of the day, but now only my father will go without food or drink from sunrise to sunset. The rest of us will smugly sip our morning coffee, and then at our iftar, enjoy the special foods that are reserved for Ramadan. Eggs and bastirma, the spicy lamb bacon, syrup-soaked atayef, nut-filled pancakes, colorful juices from dried fruit meant to keep the system moving. At the end of Ramadan, we will go through all the rituals of the feast. The men of the extended family, all in suits, will go from one house to another being served cardamom-rich coffee or treacly orange juice and sugared almonds by the women waiting there. We will eat a lamb stuffed with saffron-flavored rice, studded with roasted pine nuts, dollops of cool yogurt on the side, followed by round, crumbly pistachio-filled biscuits for dessert, dipped into a sugary, thick white cream. Now, though, during the ad break, our Ramadan breakfast is still a few hours away. After my grandmother finishes her lecture, my great-aunt, who visits every few days, gives me a hard look. "Are you English or are you Arab?" she asks me in Arabic, glaring, her bun impossibly high on her head. "I'm a Palestinian Muslim Arab from the Nuseibeh family," I tell her, my answer well rehearsed from the 1,001 times we've been through this ritual. "Descended from Nusayba Bint Kazrajiah." "Bravo," she says, clapping delightedly. If you are Muslim, chances are you will be familiar with Nusayba bint Ka'b, sometimes known as Umara. You will know her story, that she was one of the first women to convert to Islam in 7th century Arabia, that she became one of the companions of the Prophet Muhammad, and that she is, in particular, famous for losing an arm while defending him in one of multiple battles. She has in Islam almost folkloric status. Many Muslim girls are named Nusayba for that reason. In my case, though, the myth runs even deeper, that the Nuseibeh family is directly descended from her, making her, in family lore at least, our ancestor and our namesake. Little has been written about her, a lot is contradictory, and whether she even really existed is up for debate. Yet she remains an important proto-feminist figure, cited in the works of famous scholars and feminists like Layla Ahmad, Nawal al-Sa'dawi, and Abd al-Wahab Boudiba. As such, Nusayba is easy for me to imagine as I sit curled up here on my bed, in a slightly cold room in Oxford 1,300 or so years later. A stout, muscled woman atop a horse, licking sweat from her lips as she strings a bow one-handed. I did not set out to write a book about Jerusalem. In fact, I intentionally chose a subject matter, my Arab warrior ancestor, that I felt would be broader, less controversial, more fiction than fact. But it turns out that it's impossible to write about early Islam without reference to Jerusalem, and impossible for me as a Palestinian to explore the personal without reference to the political. Being Palestinian, especially one born and raised in Jerusalem, is difficult in ways that very few have taken the time to imagine. And to think about a Muslim warrior ancestor is to invoke questions that have clear bearing on the current conflict. Questions about what bravery looks like, about community, anger, loyalty, and the glorification of violence. About what it is to be a warrior, to be religious, to be a Muslim woman, an Arab feminist. Although these questions do, I hope, have larger resonances, these are all subjects that have direct meaning and consequence to a Palestinian. And so I found that every essay I wrote ended up being, at its heart, about my much disputed, much coveted home. Thanks very much for listening.